Hey YouTube, so in the video you're about to watch, I am going to be making buffalo chicken dip because I used bone-in skin thighs. I was actually able to use the bones in the skin and everything to make a chicken stock as well. So, bonus video in the video. I hope you enjoy. If you have questions, comments, anything like that, let me know. I'll leave the original recipe down below. Keep in mind, it is for a much larger size than what I actually made because I made this just for me and Alex, but the full recipe's for like a 9 by 13 inch pan, whereas I just used a small square. So I will either link or write that below, and I hope you enjoy. Okay, so today on Cooking with Kathy, we are going to make buffalo chicken dip, but what I'm doing is I have bone-in with skin chicken thighs, and so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cook them, boil them in water first, and then I'm going to debone them so I can use the chicken for the buffalo chicken dip and keep the skin and the bones going in here, and I will actually use it to go ahead and make a chicken stock, so 2 for the price of 1. Get the full value of everything that you have going. So that's what I'm doing now. I've added salt. I'm going to add salt, pepper, and some Mrs. Dash table blend. It's just like a base flavor for the chicken, and I'll put like some bay leaves and some other stuff in when I separate it out for the stock. Behold the chicken thighs. We have it: salt, pepper, Mrs. Dash, and onion. I'm going to add the lid, bring it to a rolling boil, cook it all the way through, and of course all that Mrs. Dash that landed right there will spread out. I added some onion. I didn't add any garlic because Mrs. Dash has garlic in it, and that should be plenty. We don't want the chicken to be over flavored for right now. So, to be continued. The rolling boil, I'm going to give this a stir real quick, turn it down to simmer, and let it go till chicken is completely cooked. Okay, so boiling is done. What I'm going to do is I'm taking them out. I'm just going to debone, peel the chicken, put bones and skin back in there. That way it can continue to make a broth for me. And then I'm just going to cut the chicken up into pieces. You could shred it with a fork, but I'm just going to cut it up because I'm going to have the knife anyway, and then put it in a clear baking dish and continue from there. Okay, so chicken is out. It is cooling. I did one, but it's too hot to hardly touch, so it is cooling. And I've got the bones from the one back in here. I've added, of course, the classics: parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme. I did add a little bit of bay leaf and a little bit of oregano and basil just cause. And I'm going to bring this back up to a simmer and let it simmer basically for the rest of the evening. And then we'll strain it, put it into containers, and it can be frozen. And then whenever I need chicken stock, I will have it. Okay, so chicken is all shredded and ready to go. Stock is simmering nicely. I'm going to let it keep going the rest of the day, but it's time to continue on this next step for the buffalo chicken dip. Side note, if you want to use chicken breast, that's actually what I normally use, but this week I just went with the thighs because A, it's what I could find at the Walmart, and B, it was cheaper than breast. So, you know, save you some money, also get a great stock out of it for rice or future soups or whatever, and make it work. But you can use whichever meat you want. You could even, if you really wanted to, you could probably get a rotisserie chicken from the store and do basically the same thing, meat and stock, whatever, but there you go. Now at this time, we are going to go ahead and preheat our oven to 350. That's going to get started. I've seen different recipes where they do it at 400, whatever works, but chicken's already fully cooked, so basically what we're going to do is we just need to keep it warm and let the cheese that goes on top melt. But now here's what we're going to do next. The topping that normally goes on this is, what the next steps normally call for is you put hot sauce to your liking, however much you want, on the chicken, and then you cover that with a mixture of ranch dressing and cream cheese. Now, I do not currently have ranch dressing, and actually my husband doesn't eat it anyway, so we usually use blue cheese dressing when we do this, which still works awesome for buffalo chicken. Might even prefer it. But I'm going to do an experiment where I'm going to use some sour cream and some of the blue cheese dressing to make kind of a creamy mixture to go on. So I'm going to show you guys that, but I'll put the actual original recipe down below so you can see it with the correct ratios and everything. Recipe also normally calls for this would be the cream cheese would be melted with the dressing in a pot, but what I'm doing is I have a microwave safe mug that I'm just going to add them to, give them a stir. Because I don't really have to soften and melt the cream cheese, I'm just going to heat it up for 30 seconds, maybe a minute, so that it pours easily. So that's what we're doing now. There she is after 45 seconds, and the great thing about this is if it's not quite enough, I can make more, and if I have a little less, then I will save it for like a dip, because I also have carrots. Over here, hot sauce has been distributed across the chicken. The key thing is try and make it evenly, or if you have some people who like hotter than not, you could do like one side have a lot more than the other, something like that, if you wanted to make it so it works for different tastes. I only had a little bit left in my bottle, so I just used the rest to kind of spread it evenly, but you know, however much works for you. And there you have it. I've poured the mixture on top and just kind of smoothed it out, okay? It does not have to be beautiful, it just has to be even, because we're going to put cheese on top. That's going to hide any imperfections anyway. Traditionally the recipe calls for cheddar, so that's what I'm going to use, but I'm also going to do something a little special. I've got some blue cheese crumbles that I had gotten for salads, but since I'm using the blue cheese dressing, I'm going to sprinkle a couple of those in there just as like a little extra pop and hidden surprise. It's an experiment, never done that before, so we'll see how that goes. Blue cheese crumbles, remember, if you're not a huge fan, or if you're doing the ranch version, you don't have to do these. My husband and I love cheese, and we love blue cheese, so I went ahead and went for it. But, you know, it's your taste, so you can be flexible with this one. However much is up to you. You could do more or less, more on one and then the other, whatever, do you. And now I am going, technically I should shred the cheese on top, but it's getting a little bit closer to dinner time, and that takes a while, so I'm actually just going to kind of cut some slices and just break them up and lay them over the top, but I'll show you what it looks like. So that is done. I actually just used a vegetable peeler to do little thin slices real quick, because I could do that quicker than getting out the shredder and a plate and doing all of that kind of thing. I mean, not shredder, box grater. But it is done. It's going in the oven for about 30 minutes. And what you're looking for is basically like how baked mac and cheese does the bubbly goodness on top with the cheese. That's what you're looking for it to be done, because everything's fully cooked already anyway. It's all about the cheese at this point. And then if it takes 30 minutes and it's not done, I'll cheat and switch it to broil for about a minute to let that start to happen. Also note that I've made sure I don't have a lot of cheese on the edges. I'll push that one down. There we go. Because that'll just make more mess for you to clean up. You want it more central, and it'll melt and fill that in. That's no worries at all. But another way you could help yourself with that is if you sprayed the pan before. But if you're like me and forgot, well, you just have to deal with the consequences of your actions. This is going in the oven, and I'll show you what it looks like when it comes out. What it looks like after 30 minutes, just a little bit of browning is starting, so I am going to just close it, flip it to broil for maybe 30 seconds to a minute. Watch and get very carefully. She is. I'm going to wait a little bit for it to cool, and then it'll be time to serve. I probably should have put a little bit more cheese on it. That's okay. Normally if you let it cool, when you have the cream cheese in it, it'll settle and you can almost cut it by slices. But since this had the sour cream in it, it's going to be much more of a fluid dip. So I'll just show you when we serve and when the husband eats it. And over here, stock has been flipped off. It is cooling, and we'll strain that later when it's time for kitchen cleanup. And I'll show you the final products, guys. Here it is. Here is the broth. I'm going to let it sit a while, and then I'm probably going to strain it one more time. The husband is eating the buffalo chicken dip, and he's going to give us his honest opinion about how good it is.
My honest opinion?
Your honest opinion about how good it is that your wife had made the buffalo chicken dip.
I'm gonna try and get some of this buffalo chicken dip. Mmm.
You have to look at the camera when you smile.
Mmm. It's pretty good, actually.
Alright guys, so I hope you enjoyed that video. I hope you enjoyed my husband's reaction. There is a little bit of a blooper after this, so make sure you watch that as well. Remember to like, share, subscribe, ring the bell, all those things, and leave me a comment if you like this video. Let me know if you want to see more cooking videos. Let me know if you have ideas of what I should cook next. Definitely put them below. I'm more than happy to do it because, I mean, it's the summer, so I have more time to do these things, and I like to cook things that I like to eat, but I'm open to try new things as well. I think that's everything. So long from the little greenhouse.